2025 for another fresh edition of your breakfast show, Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Webo, your host on the program. On today's review of front headline stories, we have some papers on our menu, and that includes Nigeria's most influential leadership newspaper, The Guardian, Vanguard, The Punch, and THISDAY newspaper, all for review this Thursday. Starting with leadership newspaper, let's look at what leadership has in its menu this Thursday. Leadership says above the masthead, because incidentally they have wraparound, and all the papers we have, except for THISDAY, have wraparound as on their cover. It says 2027 politicking concerns over fate of constitution amendment bills. 2027 politicking concerns over fate of constitution amendment bills. CSOs urge lawmakers to prioritize exercise over politics. NAS assures of December deadline. Leading story on the masthead, above the masthead of leadership newspaper. And don't also forget to watch videos of leadership awards recipients on our YouTube channel at Leadership Television. Our leadership awards comes up April, Monday, 8th, 2025. From the cover, we move to the back to the inside page where we have our stand. That is page 3 of the paper. Today's stand is on Uromi lynching, a national shame that demands justice. Today's stand on leadership, Uromi lynching, a national shame that demands justice. The brutal lynching of 16 northern travelers in Uromi, Edo State, represents a dangerous descent into barbarism that threatens the very fabric of our national unity. What began as a routine journey home for Salah celebrations ended in a horrific display of mob violence that shames us all as Nigerians. These were not criminals caught in the act, but hunters carrying licensed guns, working men traveling across a country they had every right to traverse freely. And in conclusion, he said the right to freedom of movement is enshrined in our constitution. No Nigerian should fear death for traveling through any part of their country, of their own country. As we await the outcomes of investigations and trials, let this tragedy serve as a reminder that jungle justice has no place in a civilized society. The rule of law, due process, and the presumption of innocence are not optional luxuries, but essential foundations of any functional democracy. The victims of Uromi deserve justice. Nigeria deserves better than mob rule. The killers must be prosecuted and punished to the fullest extent of the law. Today's stand on leadership newspaper, Uromi lynching, a national shame that demands justice. From today's stand, we go over to the back page where we have Being Blunt with Muazu Elize. Muazu Elize is the General Managing Director of Leadership Newspaper Limited, and his also bluntness column is on Nigeria must end more violence, taking cue from the Uromi lynching. Since everything was recorded in a video, identifying and arresting the killers should not be difficult. Justice must be served. Same in tune, in sync with the today's stand on Leadership Newspaper. Nigeria must end mob violence. Just before we leave leadership, we move over to Ghana Must Go. Since Nigerian banks report 3 trillion naira profit news, and of course Ghana Must Go asks how possible is this? Well, it is possible when you read the reports concerning the profits after tax. The banks, that's right, 7 banks have been counting since last week. From leadership, we move to the next paper, and that is The Guardian. But before we move to The Guardian, don't forget to log into the website of Leadership Newspaper for continuation of these headline stories, www.leadership.ng. The Guardian report is on the yesterday's judgment of the Edo Guba Tribunal. It says Iodaro rejects verdict. Okpebolo's only branch heads to appeal court. The story is on page 6 of The Guardian. Igodalo rejects verdict. That is a PDP Guba candidate in last year's September Guba election. Ighodalo rejects verdict. Okpebholo's olive branch heads to appeal court. The story is on page 6 of The Guardian. And above that, we have Tinubu turns to technocrats for higher oil production, asset maximization. Trump slams 14% tariff on Nigerian exports. Barawa assures justice for 16 slain hunters, donates 16 million naira to families. This is the Uromi 16 hunters that were slain. Barau assures justice for 16 slain hunters, donates 16 million naira to families. That is the Deputy Senate President. I can't steal to please you. Niger lawmaker tells constituents. This story is on page 30 of The Guardian. I can't steal to please you. Niger lawmaker tells constituents. Is on this note we bring to an end review of front headline stories today on The Guardian. Of course, the stories are constrained today because of the wraparound on their cover. For more, log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu with similar headline arising from the tribunal judgment yesterday, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard says Edo Okpebholo wins at tribunal. Ighodalo heads to appeal court. Edo Okpebholo wins at tribunal. Ighodalo heads to appeal court. Panel dismisses petitions by Action Alliance Accord Party. Okpebholo extends olive branch to Ighodalo. Why our appeal against tribunal judgment? Ighodalo. We are surprised at tribunal's decision. We study and decide. PDP is an affirmation of mandates given to Okpebholo. APC scribe Bashiru. That also concludes review of front headline stories today on the Vanguard newspaper. The page is also constrained due to wraparound on the cover. But for more, don't forget to head up to the website of Vanguard for continuation of these headline stories. From that, we move over to the next paper with also the fallout of the cabinet reshuffle at NNPC, and that is where the Punch newspaper is taking its leading story from today. And he says why Tinubu sacked Kyari, NNPCL board officials. Why Tinubu sacked Kyari, NNPCL board officials. Leading story today on the Punch newspaper, April 3, 2025. President asked Ojulari-led 11-man new board to achieve 3 million barrel per day crude output, $60 billion investments. These are the targets given to the Ojulari, that is the new NNPC GCEO, and his 11 interim board to achieve 3 million barrel per day crude output and $60 billion investments. However, for more, we want to find out the reason why the board was sacked and the GM passed. You need to log into the website of the Punch newspaper. However, before we leave the paper, Idopo Ighodalo heads for appeal court as tribunal affirms Okpebholo governor. Those stories on page 2 of the Punch. And this last story just beside the masthead of the Punch, NNPCL raises petrol pump price to 950 naira per litre, up again from 880 naira per litre. The story is on page 34 of the Punch newspaper. Is on that note we conclude review of front headline stories on the Punch this Thursday. Don't forget to log into the website of the Punch for continuation of these headline stories. Even as we head up to the next paper, and that is THISDAY. THISDAY says targeting education, nutrition, economic resilience. World Bank approves new $1.08 billion. Targeting education, nutrition, economic resilience. World Bank approves new $1.08 billion. Federal government, Japan launched strategic venture capital initiative for youth. Nigeria UNIDO signed $175 million pact for industrial growth, jobs, economic transformation. Senate, new investment and security act to propel Tinubu's $1 trillion economy. Says legislation will end Ponzi scheme. Just beneath the masthead of this day, tribunal affirms Okpebholo, Ighodalo vows to appeal. And above the masthead of this day, stakeholders, JP Morgan's analyst, hail leadership change at NNPCL, says is new dawn. Tas Ojulari-led company to complete IPO, sustain production growth, boost investor confidence. Others Hey Tinubu for selecting a surgical team to transform company. This also conclude review of foreign headline stories on this day newspaper this Thursday, April 3, 2025. For continuation of these headline stories, don't forget to log into the website of THISDAY, www.thisdaylive.com for stories more. So it's also on this note we conclude today's edition of Newspaper Review on Leadership Television Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Global once again, and don't forget to join us for another fresh edition of the program, same time, same station tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
Get ready for the Leadership Awards and Conference 2024. Join us as we celebrate excellence across various fields, honoring those who've made remarkable impacts. Award categories include Person of the Year, Quinquennial Award for Governance and Infrastructure, Governors of the Year, Business Person of the Year, and many more. Stay updated by following us on social media and visiting our website, leadership.ng. For sponsorship and inquiries, contact us today. Leadership Award and Conference 2024, celebrating excellence, inspiring the future. Thank you for watching. For sponsorship, thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 08036886158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.